If you don't schedule a maintenance, your system will schedule it for you. I have been going to this customer for years for knick-knack stuff. If the capacitor's broken, contactor, system stops cooling, drain clog, stuff like that. So I've been going out here and I've been telling her for years, hey, we need to get in here, we need to really clean this thing up. And I'm talking proper clean. We need to take the blower out, we need to scrub down the insulation on the inside, we need to get that coil clean instead of just a brush. Let's get a hose in there, let's get this thing flushed off. In this situation, I love taking the coil out and just hitting it with the hose, putting some chemical on it, getting all that stuff, flush it out to the street so the drain can take care of it, set it out in the sun. Same thing with the blower, just take it all apart and just let it dry out in the sun, put it all back together, and it's basically a new unit. Now this time I didn't want to do that because it is an R22 system. I didn't want to take the coil out, do all that work, put it in, braze it up, and go to pull a vacuum, only to find out that there is a leak somewhere in the system. And we now have to have a different conversation that would turn out to be very expensive and not exactly what the customer was saving up to do. Plus, I really wanted to help this lady out. She's elderly, she's on oxygen, she's been mentioning that she's starting to not feel so good in her home, and I'm like, hey, we've got this issue. I mean, before anybody says anything, the ductwork is not in, great shape either, but she has been saving up for this repair for 2 years, so I wanted to do it right, and I wanted to make sure that she was taken care of and she was going to be okay. So we're going to go ahead and knock out this blower, knock out this coil, and get the best possible for the lowest price to make sure that she stays healthy in her own home. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unhook this system. I'm going to get that blower out, I'm going to take it apart, and I'm going to hit it with some evap coil cleaner, some green stuff out of the foam cannon, and just really get all that stuff off of there, flush it all off, and we'll see how much we end up with, because a blower like this ends up with a ton of stuff all over the ground, where I end up having to wash off the concrete and get it out into the street, or get it on the side of the street, because the customer is going to be like, hey, what did you do to my driveway? It was clean and now it's extremely dirty. So these blowers, when they get to this point, they hold so much more than you could possibly think they do. And yeah, check it out. This is the blower itself. It is extremely dirty, extremely impacted. Now when I have these things apart, the absolute first thing I like to do is to soak these things in foam chemical. To do that, I use the HVAC Guys coil cannon. Any chemical you put in there, whether it's New Calgon, the HVAC Guys themselves, Viper, if you put it in there and you set it to the actual setting, it will come out in foam, and it will do a really good job of loosening up all the dirt. I use it on condensers a lot too, in order to loosen up all the stuff on there. So we're going to spray it all over the wheel, we're going to loosen up all the dirt there, because that's where the majority of it is. Then we're going to switch over to the housing on both of those pieces, and we're going to soak those things down. So when I come back and I hit it with a more powerful, just a regular hose, all of it comes off, and I'm not going to have to worry about scrubbing it by hand, which is something I'm not a fan of. One of the things you don't really think about that much with these blowers is when you fill up the cups of the blower wheel, you end up with less airflow, so you're not able to scoop the kind of air that you need to pull across the coil, so it doesn't cool that well. You don't actually send air throughout the house that well, so nothing really works that well. You need good airflow. I mean, the biggest part of air conditioning is air, obviously, so you need good airflow through the system, and if you're not able to pull air through the system, push it, whatever, then you need to really look back and say, hey, what's going on? Why am I not moving air? Oh, my cups on the blower wheel are impacted. I've got a ton of stuff on here, and I'm not able to actually pull that air across the coil, throw it through the system. It's just not working well. So you're just gonna spin it a lot, but not actually get anything, going with it. So it's basically like a flat tire. Now, if you're a homeowner watching this and you're probably thinking, hey, can I do this myself? Am I gonna mess anything up? Well, the answer is you can mess it up if you do it wrong. If you mess up the blower, if you get it wet, don't do that. This is not an outside motor. If you mismatch the wires, you put one thing in place of another, don't do that. If you're going to do that, then take a picture of it first so that you put the color code back in the same place, and make sure that the wheel doesn't grind. But I will leave a link in the bio on how to take apart this blower and get it clean yourself, and how to put it back together, make sure you're okay. So if you really want to be adventurous, you can do it yourself. And like I mentioned earlier, look at all of this stuff all over the ground. This is what you're breathing in. All the air in your home is going to go through your AC system. That's why it's called an air air conditioner. All the air in your house goes through it, changes temperature, does exactly what you want, and this stuff is what is tainting your air as it goes by. So when you breathe and your throat gets sore or your throat gets scratchy, you don't know why, that's pretty much this that you're breathing in. That's going to be in your air. It's not good stuff. You want to get this stuff off so that you don't live with this in your air and you can eventually feel better. Now when it comes to the evaporator coil, I am going to brush down all the big stuff, see if I can get some of the hair, like human hair, dog hair. I'm trying to get that stuff off of the coil as much as possible, but honestly in this case it's really not going to happen. You can get these brushes, they sell them at all the supply houses, you can get them on Amazon, whatever. They have these brushes and they're designed to clean out the fins of evaporator coils, but they don't always work. After a while things get too impacted and you have to try and flush out these coils, and the best way to do that is with water. Now, the honestly best way to do that is to take the system outside, put it in the driveway, cover the refrigerant lines, and then just hose the heck out of it until it's nice and clean. But this one, I don't want to do that, like I mentioned, so I'm going to take the pressure washer attachment off of the mini split cleaner and I'm going to spray down this coil one way and then try and force it back the other way. Now, one thing you have to remember is to flush the drain line, because when you put water on the coil, it's going to drain towards the pan and eventually drain towards the condensate line. And if your drain line is clogged, then you're just going to end up flooding everything over. One of the other things I am doing is I'm laying down a bunch of plastic so that when I do have water, and I will have water drip down into the return space, it is going to catch on the plastic instead of hit the concrete and then spread under the walls and onto the customer's floors. And the last thing I need is bowing floors in someone's hallway, because that would really suck. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with HVAC Guy's foam blaster, because even though I did clean up this coil the best I could with the freaking 2x4 in the way, I tried to clean it up as best to get the best airflow, get most of the stuff off, and when you push it from the bottom up, you end up with a hole all the way at the top, so you can actually take your brush and scoop all the stuff that ended up at the top, just scrape that all the way out so it doesn't get all over the coil. But I am going to take the HVAC Guy's foam blaster and I'm going to spray all over this coil, because even though I cleaned it with water, there's going to be a lot of microbial stuff on the fins that I want out of there. Like, I don't want anything to grow anymore. I don't want anybody to feel sick anymore. So I'm going to put some chemical on it that kills it, that's safe for the coil, and, you know, really gets this stuff out of there to where I feel safe closing it up, and this is going to be the best that I can do with the coil in place. Now that I have the blower back in place, I can hook it up and I can take scrubs, which is like an abrasive wipe, and that will allow me to get all of the stuff off the insulation. I honestly should have done it before I put the blower back, but I completely forgot, so I'm just going to do it now. And of course my camera overheated, so I wasn't able to completely grab a shot of me cleaning the rest of the stuff out of the cabinet. But we are going to wipe down the entire cabinet so that everything looks clean outside and inside, and the customer ends up happy with everything that we did for her. She's been saving up for this for quite a while, so we need to make sure that we give her the best bang for her buck. Now, before anybody asks in the comment section, yes, I did check the ductwork. It is also in very poor condition, but they needed airflow above everything else. Breathing air aside, you know, that is a big deal, but she needed airflow. That system was struggling to move air across the coil. She started having freezing up issues, and the system was starting to run harder than it was supposed to. The superheat was super low. So she actually saved up for this repair for over a year. I told her about this a while ago. She saved up for it and got it done. We have way better airflow through the system. The indoor air quality is still not the best because of the supply plenum, but we can only do so much with a budget. This customer does have a monthly budget. She does get Social Security, and Social Security does not pay a ton per month in order to cover living expenses, especially with inflation and the cost of groceries the way it is right now. So we got her the best possible solution, which was to clean the indoor unit and get that, you know, better airflow. She can actually have an operating system. As for the old R22, which it doesn't have a leak, I checked that before I even tried to clean it. It doesn't have a leak. It is extremely old. I told her that, you know, this is going to get her a certain amount of time. She does need to start saving up for something in the future. because saving up something is going to be better than not being prepared at all. But honestly, we're just out here trying to do the best for our customers and give them the best solutions possible. This is going to get her better airflow. It's going to help her out in the summer. So she's extremely happy. She knows what the future holds. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Like, machines break. You're going to have issues in the future. But, you know, you can get a jump start on it for the next couple of years. You know, start saving up. This was a nice little repair for an extremely sweet lady. This is going to get her some time. It's going to make her more comfortable. And we're just going to do the best we can do. So I hope y'all enjoyed. I will see y'all next time. Y'all have a great day.